Hello everyone, welcome to our first video of many on the ParaCode YouTube channel. Very brief history. ParaCode is an insurance software platform designed for MGAs and brokers who have a binder, as well as insurers. Basically anybody who has a binder can use ParaCode. What we do in this video, we're just going to show you very briefly how to build a product in ParaCode. The whole idea of ParaCode is that you, as the customer, can build your own products in ParaCode quickly, easily, and cheaply without any reference back to us as the developers. This is really good for you because, one, you can do things in your own time, at your own pace, which is generally quicker than what a lot of traditional software houses can do. And two, it won't cost you any money to bring new products to the market. You won't have to pay developers to do anything to do that. So what we're going to show you today is a travel insurance policy. Now, this travel insurance policy, it isn't a real policy. The rates aren't real. It's something that I have put together myself based on looking at travel insurance policies available on the internet. But it will give you a good flavour of how the system works and hopefully how easy it is to use. So the screen you should see in front of you is the home screen. On the home screen, this is designed for day-to-day users, so it's searching for policies, clients, claims, etc. ParaCode does include a claims handling suite built in, which is really useful. What I'm going to do now is just give you a quick sketch of how we build products in ParaCode. So the first thing we do is we go to the entity menu. So we have two main menus: general, which covers your day-to-day activities, and admin, which is stuff you do less frequently. So in that admin menu, we've got entity definitions. So what we call an entity definition in ParaCode is basically something that you want to insure. And this could be a person, it could be a car, a house, a business, a property, something like that. So at ParaCode, we've developed several plugins. The plugin is basically just a template. It's basically insurable with pre-populated information on it, so you don't have to come and create the basics. So for instance, we have a person plugin. And on the person plugin, we've got basic information you expect to know about any person. So their address, their age, date of birth, gender, height, name, etc., etc. So with our travel insurance policy, because we're insuring people, this is the plugin we're going to use. So in ParaCode, you take the plugin, you pick which one you want to use. Normally you'd clone it, just keep that plugin pure for when you're using it in future for other things. Because what we're going to do is add a load of extra questions onto this person, onto our travel insurance person, to then surface later on. So pick our template, copy it, add a load of extra questions to our new insurable entity, which we'll call travel person, for want of a better name. We then create a contract. So a contract is basically a binder or a product. Everything hangs off the contract. So what you're insuring, the rates, the forms, the documents, all hang off what we call a contract. So we create the contract, we bring our travel person onto the contract. We then create our rate tables, create our forms, create our documents, and then pick which kind of payment options we want to give people. So that might be just credit card payments, or it could be direct debit options, either in-house direct debits or using premium finance, or it could be anything else. We've got a lot of flexibility in how we create payments plans and payment options. And then hopefully within about 25 minutes watching this video, I'll be able to build an entire travel policy from start to finish and use it in our demo site, which is what we're looking at now. So to make a start, we need to clone our person. So what we do on the entity definitions page, create entity definition. We're going to use the person. That's our base, and we're going to call it travel person. So in entity name, we don't put any spaces because that entity name is used in the code, and code doesn't like spaces. I've just misspelled that. And then description will be travel person as well. And we will save. So I might try and think of a better name than travel person as we're going through this, but it'll do for now. Then I've created a load of questions to attach to my travel person that I want to then surface later on, both as rating factors and as form questions. So we've got the obvious one, like what's your name, what's your date of birth, what's your age, etc., etc. Where do you live? So we're going to add some extra ones. So first thing we're going to add is what type of cover are you looking for? And again, attribute name appears in code, so we don't have spaces, but we can shorten it to make it easier to read when we're doing the code. So type of cover in code as well, each word gets capitalized first letter. So we've got two options. One is single trip and the other is annual multi-trip. So that attribute value type will be string. So attribute value type is how we want the information to surface later on. So a string is just a collection of letters and numbers, i.e. words, sentences, etc. Other options are Boolean. So a Boolean is a true or false value, i.e. yes or no. An integer is a number value without decimals. Obviously, a decimal value is a number value with decimals, and there's a whole load of extra ones in here, so date, time, money, etc. So for now, we're just going to choose string, and then we're going to choose attribute type. Now, attribute type is how you as the user would pick that value. So we've got free text. So for instance, I would type my name in free text, or we can use a lookup, which is a predefined drop-down, or we can have a range of values, which is basically, imagine it's mainly a thing with numbers where we go, I want to serve, how old are you between the ages of 18 and 25, for instance, that would be a range. So we're going to use a lookup, and then GDPR type is basically saying, is this a GDPR sensitive question? Yes or no, and generally everything is yes these days. So create that meta attribute, and then we're going to create a load of values for it. So the first value we're going to create is single trip. And then the next value we're going to create is annual multi-trip. Cool, that's our first question done. And then the next one is really the biggie. I'll probably shorten this in the video because it's going to take a while. It's where are you going? And for this, we're going to include a list of countries. Now, I've had a quick look online and I've tried to categorize countries into basically low risk, medium risk, and high risk. Using websites I looked at, there's 200 plus countries. I don't think I'm going to use them all because that will take quite a long time to fill in and it wouldn't really achieve much for the purposes of this video. So I'll probably put in a selection of countries. Again, they're string values, i.e. collection of words, and it's going to be a lookup again, and it's GDPR sensitive. So let's make a start. Let me just bring up my list of countries. So I said earlier, I've categorized countries into high, medium, and low risk. So let's just put a few in, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with them after that. Now, while I'm doing this, I can give you a little background on ParaCode. So ParaCode was formed between a specialist equine insurance broker who had about 5 binders and a development company. Now, I used to work for the equine insurance broker. I was a liability policy administrator, for want of a better term. And while I was there, I got involved working with this developer to build what became ParaCode. And that basically became my main job for 3 years. And then eventually the equine insurance broker was sold to a consolidating private equity funded insurance group. And at that point, I then moved over to, not the developer, I stayed in a new company called ParaCode Limited. And then eventually ParaCode Limited merged with the developer so that we could go forward with the IP and the developer team all together in one company. And now it's got about 20 employees. I'm the product manager and I work basically between the customers and the development team, making sure that the customers can turn what they want, not into code speak because I'm not a developer, but into sensible, definable requirements. And the developers can understand insurance. So that's what I do. So I've put a couple of countries in here. There's a mix of high risk, low risk, and medium risk countries. Now, what we want to do with this list is give the option for the ultimate client of the insurance policy to pick one or many of these countries, and then for the system to know, based on what they've picked, it's then going to be categorized as either high risk, medium risk, or low risk. And what it will do is it will go, if you've picked a load of low risk countries and one high risk country, it knows that's a high risk policy. Similarly, if you picked a load of low-risk countries and a medium-risk country, it knows it's a medium-risk policy. So the way we do that is we create what's called a meta group attribute. And what a meta group attribute is, what a meta group attribute is, it is a list of other attribute values that are then grouped together, as the name suggests. And it'll be easier to see it than to explain it. So I've just created my country list, which I just now need to find. Where are you going? That's the question. And then over here, I'm going to add in my first group. And for ease, I'm going to call them low risk countries. So I create that. And then when I view it, I get a list of all those countries I've just plugged in. And now I can select the ones that I consider low risk. And that'll do for that one. And then I'm going to create a new group, and it's going to be called medium risk countries. Hopefully you can see where I'm going with this. And then in medium risk countries, I'm going to select those medium risk countries, which I didn't select before. So Bahrain, Belize, Austria. And then if I just add my last group, which is for higher risk countries. That will be Haiti, Bolivia, Nigeria. What I'm going to do now is just very quickly compare, so to make sure that every country is in at least one group and that there's no crossover. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 in total, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Perfect. So all our countries are in a group, and we're not in the group more than once. So we've categorized them all. And the way what we'll do is we'll prioritize those groups so that if you select some countries in one group, it knows how to treat it based on a priority level. But basically, the most dangerous countries are the highest priority. So if you pick one, you always go into that group. There's a couple of other questions we're going to add, just about medical questions. So generally, travel insurance always wants to know about your medical history. So do you suffer, do you have a pre-existing medical condition, or are you waiting for any treatment? And then this one is Boolean because it's a true false one. Use a lookup because we're going to create the value yes, no. Over here, create one with yes, no. And then that is all the core questions we need to answer at this time. What we'll probably end up doing is coming back to the screen later on once we get to contract creation, just in case I've forgotten anything.